This is just going to be a quick overview of the Webex software. It's the software for video conferencing that's licensed by Iowa State, and the software there will be primarily used for supervision this semester. This overview is for a student or the host, quote-unquote, perspective, but I'm going to throw some tidbits in there that you can share with your supervisor to hopefully make their experience a little bit easier as well, and maybe save some questions or issues down the road. So the first thing we need to do is get to Webex. There's multiple ways to do that. I'm just going to show you two here. You can use the direct URL, which is just iastate.webex.com, and hit enter, and you click sign on or sign in, and then you put your Iowa State email, and the next page would be your Okta. Another way is you go to the Iowa State homepage. On the right hand side it says sign-ons. You can either directly right now click on sign-ons or go down to more sign-ons. It takes you to the same page. Under telephones and conferencing we hit Webex. If you're already logged into Okta, you should go, meaning in this browsing session you've already been into Canvas or Cybox. But if you haven't, you'll see this page and you click sign in. Again, this is your ISU email. And then this will be your home page, the landing page that you normally see when you're logging in. First-time users may see some pop-ups that explain certain areas of the website. You can just click through them. So the primary thing on here is this is your URL for what Webex calls your personal room. It's suggested that this be the primary link that you give your supervisors. You can schedule meetings, and each scheduled meeting, you put a specific date and time. But the thing with that is the URL changes. So if you are only working with one person, like your supervisor, or you're using Webex only with your supervisor, it's probably easier on both of you just to use this personal room for all your meetings, because the URL is static. It stays the same. They're not going to have to go searching multiple places to see, oh, is it this link for the 7 o'clock meeting on Tuesday? This is just a static link that will always be used between the two of you. And you have a copy button. You can copy and paste and shoot it in an email to them during your early correspondence with them about expectations and meetings. One thing with the link is if I'm a supervisor and you sent me this link, I can just copy and paste it directly into a browser in Microsoft Edge, Internet Explorer, Firefox, Opera, Google Chrome. It doesn't matter. They put it into the browser and they just hit enter, and they don't need to download anything else. They don't need to have any additional things. They can just go directly to the meeting through the browser. However, if they're on a mobile device, most likely a phone, if the tablet's using a mobile browser instead of a regular browser, they're also running this issue. But it will require them to download the Cisco Webex app. So if I'm a supervisor and you sent me this link to meet with you in an email and I'm checking on my phone and I click that link, it will give me the directions to download the Cisco app. So that's the only instance where you have to download additional things to make it work. Otherwise, if your supervisor is on a desktop computer, laptop, and they click the link or put the link into the browser, it will just take them there. On their end, they'll see something once your meeting's going that says you're about to enter this meeting, and they'll click OK or start, and then it will ask them for a name. They don't have it will ask them for their name and an email. If they're concerned about giving out their data, their personal information, it's solely for your end, so that when they enter the room, you'll see, hey, this is so-and-so, and they're in my room. And I can send an email to my participants afterwards. So that's the only reason why that's collected from them. So a supervisor gets this on a regular computer, puts in your personal room URL, puts their name and their email, and then they can join your meeting. So we'll start a meeting, and you can see what that looks like. So you click Start a Meeting, and there's my amazing face. And so you get a preview kind of what it looks like. This is kind of more zoomed in. Once you start the meeting, the picture will see more of your background. If you have a laptop and you have a camera in that laptop, it's going to be the default mechanisms that it's using. If you had an extra peripheral camera added, or a omnidirectional mic added, if you're using something other than the built-in things, you'd find them here. And then you could also, if you didn't have the ability to use a microphone call-in, so your audio would match your video. So we can just press Start Meeting. As I said, it opened up a little bit more. And now we're waiting for your participants. So in an example, you could have a meeting with your supervisor, a pre-conference to go over your lesson plan, and you'd have that at 7 o'clock at night. And so you might want to jump in here at 6:50 just to get the room open and running. And if you wanted to do anything else, you could, such as on the participants, you can click and mute on entry. So if supervisor's coming in and you were giving a lesson, and they're catching the tail end of something else, but you already want to have this up and running, so when the ball's in your court, you don't have to worry about setting this up. That might be a good idea to put mute on entry, so that whatever the supervisor's doing, you don't have to worry about a noise popping up in the middle of your presentation. Another feature is that you can record the meeting if you wanted to have it to reference later on or to review it. You can do that from up here, start recording, or down here and just click Recorder. It's going to ask you where you want to save it. You can either save it to the computer itself or to the Cisco Webex cloud. I'm not sure on the length of how much or the space on the cloud, but that's a tool that you have. Once your participant comes in, you can see a little bit of information about them. And back to our example, is if you're pre-conferencing on a lesson plan and your supervisor wants to see it, you could email it to them so they have it on their end, or you can go over it together, which might be a good idea. So what you can do is you can share your screen or with your participant. So in the example, it will be we're sharing our lesson plan with our supervisor, and all you have to do is click on Share Content, and I will click on my Word document. And so then your supervisor will see exactly what you're seeing, so you could work through this together, and explain what you're trying to do and why you're saying these things, and they can give you suggestions, and you can edit it on your end. And when you're done sharing that, you just press Stop Sharing, and you'll be returned to this the main video conference screen. So now we're going to have someone enter into our meeting, and you can kind of see what that screen looks like. So now we have our participant enter the room. I've named them supervisor, but as I said, the supervisor will have the ability to put their name when they click your link, and then they only have to click join meeting after that. So you could go and you could mute them if you wanted. You can unmute them if you're talking to them and things are getting lagging, or their audio is messing up. Because the video is messing up, you can suggest that they just turn off their video, and that might save just the right amount of bandwidth to make it so you can hear them. Otherwise, you can reconnect if they can get to a better connection. And then you just have a conversation. You do what you need to do. As I said, you could share content with them. You can share links and message them in the chat box. And then when they're done, or you're done, you just press X, and they can press X on their end, and they can leave the meeting. If you try to leave the meeting while someone's still in there, it will ask if you want to do that for everyone, and you can do that. And there you go. You have your meeting. If you're recording it, you can press stop. and it will save the video. It will take a little while because it also, I think, it transcribes the video, which is helpful sometimes, but that's it. If you have any questions about the general use of Webex, let someone in TES know.